Hey there, this is Christine Landl, and I am with my sister, my best friend, my business partner, Jennifer Ream, and we are so excited to be here on yet again another platform that we are creating and another chapter, another piece to our journey.
The Well Podcast. This is Jennifer Ream. So excited to be here with you guys. Our intention for this podcast is all about sharing our love for all things wellness, holistic wellness that is. And we are here to uplift, plant some seeds, and support you on your wellness journey. We've always loved being able to be out there with our community, sharing all the things that we learn. And as we grow and learn new things, we love to put them out there, and maybe they'll plant some seeds for you and help you along your journey. So here we are. Let's get started.
Hey, welcome back. This is Christine Landl, and I'm here with my sister, Jen Ream, and the Well Podcast. And we've, of course, got some great things to chat with you about today. And one of our favorite things I feel like we love to talk about, but it's also some of the bigger questions that we get asked most often. What do you use in place for this? Or if I'm trying to kick a habit, what should I do instead to crowd it out? And that's one of our favorite things to talk about, is how can you crowd out some not so great, unhealthy habits for some better ones. And then also, how can I swap out the not so great ingredients for better ones? So we'd love to share the brands. And as we learn new ones, we share those as well. And then, of course, as we learn about the ones that we love that were bought out by big corporations and we have to get rid of them, that happens a lot too. So,
I hate when you text me that. You're like, hey, FYI,
I know.
Don't use this one anymore.
Sold out.
They sold out. Yeah.
So,
But this is, I think, like you just said, it's a really good topic. I think you'll get a lot out of this if you're new to this world of learning which brands are good to have in your pantry and which ones are not. And we work on this a lot with our clients. And so I think you'll get a lot of good little info and tips and tools out of this podcast. So thanks for joining us.
I think that let's get right to it. One of the biggest things I think we should start with is organic versus non-organic.
Yeah.
So the reason why we are so passionate about this is back when we started going down this nutrition road about 15 years ago, we realized what was going on when we were not buying organic. So when something is conventionally grown, they're being sprayed with all kinds of pesticides and herbicides to keep the plant alive, and then also to kill the weeds. So there's organic versus non-organic, and then there's also the whole GMO thing. And GMO is obviously, now they have a stamp of approval like non-GMO because people don't want that as well. What that means is that there are seeds that have been created or that can withstand that crop can withstand being sprayed with glyphosate or pesticides and herbicides, and it will not die, but all of the weeds around it will die. So they're literally wearing hazmat suits to spray our crops with all these chemicals, and then we're eating them. So it doesn't make sense, does it?
Zero sense.
So a lot of people think like, oh, genetically modified. There's things that are genetically modified all the time. We want to make a new, thing of broccoli, or we want a new strand of corn or whatever. And it's like, no, that's actually not really all that it is. So we're keeping it simple for you here. But one of the things of buying organic is when you do buy organic, you're also buying non-GMO. It is one of the stipulations. So there's also a lot of loopholes around organic. And of course, it's a regulated term from the big ag and FDA and USDA, all of them, I guess. And their intentions are not always pure. So there's a lot of loopholes in there. But bottom line is you are 100% doing better for your body when you're buying organic and you're eliminating the pesticides and herbicides. They're found in our bloodstream. They are cancer causing. They're endocrine disrupting.
They're found in the umbilical cords of babies and moms and in the placenta and
And it's like if you start connecting all of the dots over the years and you see the rise in all of our the disease in our country, there's a lot of the timeline is there with the amount of chemicals that are sprayed on our conventionally grown produce. And now it's also being found on some of our organic too, because it does, the wind will take it from farm to farm and it'll go on to organic too. But there's a lot of companies out there doing third-party testing and making sure that it's not on there. And you cannot wash off the pesticides and herbicides from your produce. It is literally in it. It's grown with it in it. So it's, maybe
it's in the root.
Yeah, you might be able to get it off the skin a little bit, but it's still within it. It's almost like it's a part of the DNA.
Right.
It soaks right into the skin. So it's a non-negotiable for us. Even at Vibe Well, there's often times where it's very difficult to get organic produce, and obviously it comes with a premium cost. But you have to understand that when you're paying for it up front, you're saving in your healthcare down the road. So we always try to tell people, like, invest in your food up front, because you will save thousands of dollars in the long run based on having better health. So organic has been a non-negotiable for us for a long time, unless you know your local farmers. And that's where our CSA comes in. The 3 farms that we get our community shared agriculture they are organic practices. So it is actually very expensive to become certified organic. So as long as you know your farmers and know that they have, natural practices and not using pesticides and herbicides and GMOs, then you're good to go there too. So, but if you are at the grocery store, go with organic always. Super important. So swap out for that. Swap out non-organic or conventionally grown for organic.
Yeah. So I think talking about the freezer foods real quick too, just because we're on that topic, choosing, if you can't get something, choosing an organic frozen bag of broccoli or green beans or asparagus or whatever, avocados now you can get, choosing that is a great option as well. They're finding that because they're packaged right away and frozen right away, you really are getting a really nutritious vegetable or whatever it is, or fruit for that matter, by freezing it right away, instead of it going into a carton and traveling across the country and making its way to your grocery store, or making its way, if you're not buying from your local farm, obviously, but if it's getting from your grocery store and it's having to travel a long way, especially off season, it's a great option to go ahead and buy the frozen bag of fruit or vegetables and use that in your smoothie or cooking or
Yep, and it's a great way to reduce waste. Obviously, waste is a huge issue in our country, really, and we can all, I know for me on a weekly basis, there's always something that I have to throw away that we didn't get to, and so I did start buying more frozen. It's a great way to stock up for the winter. It's a great way to stock up when there's any sort of food shortages or toilet paper shortages. So it's frozen is definitely a great option to go to as well. So it's a great point. So there's so many different brands out there. It's really hard to know which ones to get. So I think it's important to go into next label reading with our foods. It's where you kind of have to start.
It is. And it's kind of the foundation.
It's how you find your brands is, okay, what's in it? If you don't know what something is on that ingredient list, then look it up and see what it's going to do in your body. If it sounds like some crazy chemical concoction, it's not supposed to be there. So, it's a great rule of thumb. Try and keep the ingredients 5 or less on a label. But oftentimes it's a little bit larger than that if there's seasoning and things like that. So become a label reader if you aren't already, if you are buying something that's not in the produce aisle. So some of our favorite things to... I guess we should talk about our protein bars. That's a big one that people think like it's protein bars so they can just eat however many they want.
Or protein powder in general.
Protein powder.
Since it's such a big, one of those things that people who are working out, they're like all about their protein powder.
Yeah, and it can be a lot of funk stuff.
Yeah, that's one that took me a while to find something that tasted good but was also clean.
Yeah, didn't have that chalky flavor.
Right.
So we have some of our favorites too. Garden of Life is one. We love Orgain. I personally have a subscription to Truvani. I love it. on the cost, it's kind of on a pricier side, but there's like 5 to 6 ingredients in the entire bag, and I love it. It's so good. It has a great flavor. And so, but again, protein powder is one of those things you really want to know what's in it. There's a lot of added sugars, fillers, and chemicals. If you're into the whey thing, then, that's just make sure it's a good source of dairy that you're getting in that protein. So you really, really do want to pay attention, not just walk into your local GNC and grab a protein from the counter. You really want to look at what's inside those. And again, the less ingredients list on there, the better, for sure.
And I think another thing to remember too, when you're looking at your foods and label reading, is how long is this food designed to last? So if this food is designed to last on your shelf in your grocery store for weeks and months, that means it has preservatives in it. That means it has chemicals in it that are making it last that long. That's not a real food. It's a manufactured food. And so when it comes to choosing the best options for you and your family, really want to minimize the food items that have a long shelf life.
Mm-hmm. And I think a granola is another one that's, we'll just kind of go through things as we think about stuff that we eat on a regular basis. But granola is a good one. It took us a long time to find a great granola that we love for Vibe Well that was also nut-free. But there's also a lot of granolas out there that have a lot of nuts in them. And then with that are a lot of oils. And so I don't know if you've ever read that cottonseed oil are on a lot of nuts. And cottonseed, let's think about that for a minute. Like, cotton's not a food.
Yeah.
So why are we using their oil in
our food?
in our food? So if you think about that, canola oil is highly processed. So canola, they all add trans fat into your diet, which is what clogs our arteries, and that obviously can lead to stroke and to heart disease. So those are some of the little things, like the oils. Pay attention to what's in there. There's different oils, like olive oil you want to use when it's raw. So you want to put olive oil on your salad, or if you're into dipping your bread in your olive oil. But olive oil is not one that you want to heat. Once you do heat it, actually can, cause carcinogens in it, but it completely destroys the healthy fats that are in the olive oil. So that's one that you want to not use really for cooking. Some great high heat oils for cooking would be avocado or coconut oil. Avocado is a great one if you don't want that coconut oil flavor.
And I love that nowadays, like even Costco has the spray avocado for cooking, which is so great and easy and convenient. And I love, olive oil is my jam for my salad dressing. Just a little bit of olive oil and sea salt, and I'm happy.
Yep, and just
camper.
Got to throw it in there, but you don't want to really use too much. I would say 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil when you're having a salad. We don't want to drench it. There is, in my book, there's such thing as too much of that.
And that's with everything.
Yeah,
for sure.
So with the oils too, just another swap this for that is, potato chips, if you want to occasionally have them, especially if you have kids, and throw something in their lunches, or you want to have a salty, crunchy snack. It's not a completely off the table treat. I would say it is definitely more of an indulgent item.
Food.
It's a bridge food. But nowadays you can find chips that have avocado oil and coconut oil in them. So rather than the peanut or canola, those oils that just are cottonseed, all of those are just not good for us. So,
and when we say bridge food, we're talking about the foods that are not quite a real food, not an apple, but not chock full of a ton of preservatives. It's kind of in the middle.
It's processed.
It's still processed, but it's a better option than you're choosing a better option than you could if you were just buying. I don't want to throw brands out there, but you know which brands we're talking about that have, those unhealthier ingredients.
Yeah. And I think that, you're taking, we love the Boulder Canyon avocado oil chips, and you can get those at Whole Foods, and we throw those in our kids' lunches occasionally, and it's just a nice little crunchy treat. But you can get Late July. I love Late July, that brand too. They have great barbecue and regular, and
Costco's
tortilla.
been really great about carrying better brands. And so a lot of times I'll roll in there and I'll see that they're carrying a huge bag of Late July or something like that. So that's awesome too.
Yep. And another thing with tortilla chips, while we're on the chip topic, make sure, because those are mostly corn. Corn is one of the highest GMO foods out there. So you do want to find an organic, non-GMO tortilla chip when you're buying those.
Tortillas in general.
And tortillas, yeah. It just makes a big difference in the long run.
So when we say these little things, our main point is that when you start to make swaps in the things that you eat the most in your house, that's when down the road you start to see that difference in how you feel, or if weight gain is a challenge for you. When you start to swap these out, it's all these little things that add up to big results. So that's why we say pick the things in your house that you guys eat the most of. Like peanut butter comes up to mind right now. Like that's a big one. Like a lot of people don't realize that some of the brands, the common household brands, are full of the oils that aren't so good for you. So you really want to stick with and now, before you couldn't get a clean peanut butter unless you went to Whole Foods. Now you're pretty much all the local grocery stores have an option where it's literally just peanuts and sea salt on the ingredient list. So you want to choose. Those are the things. Like if your kids love peanut butter and jelly, okay, let's choose a healthier option. Even like throwing on peanut butter and a local honey from your local farm. That's great for fighting allergies. So we have tons of customers that come into Well that have been using our local honey, and they are like, my allergies are so much better this year. Well, it really helps to use honey from your area where you live that will help you with your allergies. So having, instead of jelly, maybe throw on some honey with your peanut butter and have a sandwich like that. So just things like thinking about what it is that your kids love and how can you swap in a better ingredient list.
And like Jen mentioned, like the peanut butter that we grew up on, I'm pretty sure it would say at least 5 to 7 ingredients on it. You really only need to have the peanuts and the
sea salt.
The sea salt. And it has a natural occurring oil in it. Almond butter is the same thing. We could go down a whole little thing with almonds, but you do want to do organic with those as well. And if you can find them and make your own, it's even better. And same with peanuts. So it's really easy to make too. But if you are in a hurry and you need something quick, be sure you're grabbing the minimal ingredients. It is really important. Mm-hmm. So food coloring, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about that, because it is, there's studies upon studies, and this has been for years now, that especially red food dye causes hyperactivity in children. And I would say a lot of teachers could attest to this, even because they're so often rewarded at school with suckers and candy and Jolly Ranchers, and they're chocked full of all kinds of food coloring, which are known carcinogens. And in most other countries, they're banned. In the United States, they're not. They're in pretty much every candy out there that you can think of, unless you're intentionally buying candy that is not using that. And there are some out there now. Whole Foods has some great options. They use actual vegetable-based food coloring. Beets are one, and for red, and you cannot taste it. And you know what? The bottom line is your kids are going to eat what you give them and what you don't give them. So if you just don't buy it, then they don't have the option. Mm-hmm. So you buy the ones that are going to serve them. Of course, there's always that occasional when you're going to get what you have to get. If you're having a party and it's, once a year, that's one thing. But if we're talking like they get to get a treat even once a week and it has food coloring in it, it's not serving their bodies whatsoever. And
it's not even just candy though. Like they will add food coloring to fish. They'll add food coloring to cheese to give it the orange color. Like that's where you have to really start to find the brands that are not, and stick with those, because they sneak it in.
Yeah, blue toothpaste. If you have blue toothpaste in your crest or your Colgate, it's food coloring. It's blue food coloring.
Right.
So, who wants to brush their teeth with that? So it is. You're right.
They sneak it.
I'm thinking and it would say majority of it is in if you're giving your kids any sort of sugary indulgences, it is in their sodas as well. Caramel coloring is linked to cancer, and that's in a lot of sodas. So That's a great segue.
Yeah, it is a great segue. One of our biggest, I would say, questions we get, or just, I would say, challenges that our clients have is with soda. Soda is so addictive. Intentionally, they make it very, very, very addictive. And so we have a lot of people who will want to kick the soda habit, and you will notice an amazing difference in your health and your for women, like where we carry the extra weight in our abdomen, the brain fog, the just feeling fatigued. You'll notice a huge difference when you give up soda. And you'll also notice, like, this is what happened to me, and I don't even know when I had soda last, but
we used to drink it all the time.
Yeah. But I just,
Grew up
like, I'm trying to
drinking
think of it's been so long, but if I remember going back and having a drink of it and going, whoa, all I could taste was the chemicals in it. Like, it was so, after not having it for so long, I could really, like, it was so toxic to me tasting. But if you have that as a habit, that is one of the ones we would highly suggest starting to swap out. And we love to choose kombucha for that. So kombucha is a great option that gives you, kombucha is a fermented tea, and it gives you that carbonation. And a lot of people can really have success with choosing a kombucha over a soda when they're trying to swap that out.
And just to piggyback on that, you again, too much of anything is not a good thing, and kombucha is the same. So there's a lot of kombuchas out there that have a lot of sugar in them, so you really want to be careful with the sugar piece of kombucha, and it's not something that I would have every day either. It can wreak havoc on your gut and can be counterintuitive to what you're actually wanting to do. So in the beginning, it's a great one to have, maybe like a half of, but the other option, I feel like there's so many great ones out there now, is sparkling water and flavored sparkling water. You could add your own lemon or strawberries or cucumber. And so there's other options right now if you're just looking even for that carbonation. And but that's a big one and soda you can crowd out. It's really like one of those things that we find is really important when you're trying to kick a habit, is to crowd it out with something good versus trying to tell yourself that you can't have it any longer. Mm-hmm. So just kind of replace that with something else. I think we really have to quickly touch on your meats and your eggs. Cage-free doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a healthy chicken or turkey. So you want to make sure that you're getting pasture-raised. So organic and pasture-raised eggs are so much better. Vital Farms is a great one. I think you can kind of get it. We're all over the place now. Target has Vital Farms, Whole Foods, and that's a great egg to get. It's pasture-raised means that they're out on the farm pecking away at the bugs and the grass, and cage-free just means that they're not inside of a cage. It doesn't necessarily mean that they get to see the light of day. So you want to pay close attention to that with both your eggs and your meat as well. Same with grass-fed. Mm-hmm. Grass-fed beef is another one. And if you can even find grass-finished, because grass-fed actually means, I believe it's like 80% of their life they were grass-fed. The 20%, which is a lot of times when they're finishing off the animal, they can eat whatever. So that's hard to find, though. Grass-fed is typically what you can see most of. And just so you know, I recently was listening to a podcast, I believe, and they were talking about how a lot of times in conventionally raised animals, factory farmed animals, they are literally fed candy. So Skittles, Starburst, with the packages, with the wrappers on them.
Oh,
that's how they
gosh.
fatten them up. Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. So, and of course, the whole antibiotic use, 80% of the antibiotics used in the United States go towards our factory farmed animals. So, organic.
Yes.
And free range.
And that goes with
pasture-raised.
your coffee and your tea. If you're a coffee drinker or you're a tea drinker, that's really important too. Those are obviously heavily sprayed crops. And so finding a good coffee that you like and swapping it out.
Yeah. So some great brands that really pay attention to that from a mold standpoint, because that's a big deal too with the coffee bean and can cause toxins in your body. And Bulletproof is a great coffee that they are third-party tested. Another one I love is Kion Coffee. I buy that from, I think it's getkion.com. Awesome coffee. And so you really want to make sure that that part is clean too. I mean, your typical shelved coffee at the grocery store, if you're not paying attention to it, probably has a lot of pesticides, mold and toxins in it. So,
and I love Thrive Market's coffee. So I'm just going to do a plug for Thrive Market right now. Because Thrive Market is, I think we've talked about it in a previous podcast, but they are a wholesaler. So you get on and you pay, I think it's, what do you remember?
59
for the
60.
year, and you can get your pantry, and they've added a ton more food and different items to their list of shopping. But that is my go-to for things. Like, they do a really good job of picking great brands, and so they've done the homework for you. So you can get on, you could shop by, like, maybe you want to shop dairy-free, or maybe you want to shop gluten or keto or whatever it is, and you can get on and plug that in and look at the options that they have for you. But I love Thrive Market. We'll put a link in our description for Thrive Market, because it really is a great option for ordering your pantry items and your household and beauty care items. And I think that's another one of those swap. Mm-hmm. That's a big one. So people think about just what you put in your body, but on your body matters just as much. So what is sitting on your body, the lotions that you use, the shampoos that you use, all those products are, a lot of them, full of toxins, and they're not regulated. The beauty care industry is highly unregulated in the United States. So that's why we've always been big fans of Beauty Counter. Beauty Counter is one of our favorite makeup skincare lines. They're really out there trying to advocate for cleaner products in the United States. They're trying to get laws passed so that people can't just throw out there these products that have known endocrine disruptors and toxins and cancer-causing chemicals in it. So Beauty Counter is one of our favorites. But Thrive Market, even if you get on there, they have great choices for if you need a big bottle of lotion, body lotion, or if you want to try a shampoo, or just different things like that. And your household items. They've got great brands on there. And honestly, your local Target has done a really good job with bringing in some cleaner brands for household cleaning items. So it's so much easier to find these days, but it really is really important not to spray the Lysol in your house, not to spray the Febreze, not to spray all these products that have fragrances in them that are just extremely toxic. You really want to choose some brands that are cleaner and better for the environment and better for your health.
Especially if you have children or yourself that have a lot of allergies, this can be contributing to it. Any of the products that you're using within your home, whether it's aerosol sprays that you put on your hair or that you're using to clean your windows or dusting, all of that, because they have a lot of fragrance and toxins in them, or those plugins that a lot of people use, those are all very highly toxic and cause allergies for many people.
A lot of people have headaches. I mean, people wonder why they have headaches. A lot of times it's because they've been, like, if I've gone to a business that has a plug-in in, I can immediately feel myself, I need to go get fresh air because it gives me a headache.
Same. I'm the same way. I can't even use perfumes anymore. Right. That's another one that you have to be really careful. I just use essential oils for my perfume. And so that part is, again, it's like, know what you're using and know what you're putting in and around and on your body. It's incredibly important to be mindful of that. It all contributes down the road to things, whether it's health or dis-ease within your body. So it's these little things that add up to huge results in the long run when you make these small swaps and these changes. And we could go on and on about our favorite brands and what we use on a regular basis. And but reach out to us. This is a great one that we like to talk about, and it's kind of easy for us because we do the due diligence on the brands, and we're very conscious about what we buy and who we're supporting. And
we've been doing it for so long that it's pretty easy for us. If you have an item that you're just not sure, we could probably really quickly give you a quick swap, and that would be no big deal. So drinkjuice@vibewell would be the best. drinkjuice@vibewell.com would be the best email to reach us. If you have a question or you want to, ask us about a certain brand or product, we're happy to share that information.
Hugely important, though. Just know that it just makes a huge difference in your health and your wellness, these types of things. And so don't take it for granted. There are a lot of companies out there doing the right thing, but there's a lot of companies that are not regulated and just using whatever cheap ingredients they can, and it's not serving our bodies.
Mm-hmm. And start with one thing. We always say start with the one thing that you are eating a lot, or the one thing that you're putting on your body every day that sits on your body, like your body lotion. So start with those. Those are the important ones to start with, and then go from there.
Great point.
All right, friends. Thank you for joining us today. We're so happy that you stuck with us and listened all the way to the end. And we look forward to talking to you soon.
Till next time.
Thanks again, friends, for joining us today on our latest podcast episode. We love sharing this with you. So please share the love if you feel called to all your friends and family.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on what we're going to talk about next. It's always so juicy.
And of course, you can find us on social, Instagram, Vibe Well Lifestyle, and Vibe Well on Facebook. Love y'all.
And if you're in town, make sure you stop by and see us at Vibe Well too.
Yeah, we would love to see your cute face.
See you soon.
Bye.